Hi, I'm Antony Ward and welcome to this short video for 3D World magazine. What we're going to look at today is an answer to the question, which is the best approach when blending normal maps. What I thought I would do is take this toy car and use it as an example of how you would blend normal maps and why. If we look at this, it's a low polygon model. If I turn on the wireframe, you can see there's not lots of polygons in it. It's probably about 9,000 polys. The normal map has been baked down from a high resolution version of it. So that has given us the nice surface detail which we have there. If I turn off the wireframe again. Now what we couldn't do when we were building this model is add in any more surface detail. So finer detail, like maybe a mesh effect over the body, some text on the wing, on the rear spoiler, and other little things like that. Now we could take that into ZBrush and paint on those details and then export that super high resolution model and bake the information from that. But instead we can take an easier approach and create a height map, which is just a grayscale image where the white pixels are raised from the surface and the dark pixels are recessed into the surface. This is then taken into an application like Crazy Bump or Smart Normal, which then converts that using those height pixels into a basic normal map. This can then be overlaid onto your base map to give you extra detail. And this is what we've done inside the wheel here. You can see that these elements here have been added with the help of a basic detail map. So let's switch to Photoshop. When approaching this question, I thought rather than just share one procedure for doing this, that I would look around online and find the three most popular ways and explore their pros and cons. And then what I would do in this video is perhaps go through each, and then you, the viewer, can decide which you would prefer to use and which you want to use and follow. That way you're fully equipped for any situation and you've got three ways to use. Now the first procedure that you can follow, as you can see here, I've got three groups and these are the three different techniques we're going to use. So we have our base normal map here, which is just, as I said, baked from high resolution geometry. If I open up this group here, what you can see is we have a copy of our base map and we also have our detail map. And this is simply a honeycomb texture, which again was just converted to a normal map using an external application. So when overlaying normal maps, a lot of artists straight away just think, I'll go in, apply an overlay, and that's it, done. Flatten that and then export it. Now there are problems with using just a basic overlay. If I turn that map off, so we've just got our base map again, and we go into our channels. Now a normal map, as we know, is built up of three colour channels. Red stores the normal information left to right, the X information. Green stores the information top to bottom, so in your Y-axis, and blue stores the depth information. As you can see here, we've got plenty of information in this blue channel. If I then turn back on our overlay, which we applied, and then go back into our channels, you'll see we have a little bit of the blue information still up here, but a lot of it has been destroyed. And that is because when applying the overlay, the blue information which is in the detail map is blowing out the blue information in the base map. So although this looks like it works, it's actually breaking parts of your normal map, some crucial parts. So let's look at technique 2, and that's taking the overlay procedure a step further. So here we go again. We have our base map, we have our detail map, but this time we're going to apply a levels adjustment layer to the detail map. Now I'm going to click on this button here, and what that will do is that will link it to the layer below, as you can see, giving you this little arrow, which means it's only going to affect our detail map. And what we're going to do is just go into our blue channel and clamp this at 127. Now what that's doing is that's just toning down the blue map for us, the blue channel for us. Now if we merge those layers like so, apply an overlay again. Now it looks pretty much the same. If I turn on the overlay layer below, so we can turn this on and off and see the difference. Now straight away you can see, particularly here, in our original overlay it's quite bright. In this new overlay it's darkened that back down, so it's given us back a bit of that depth. And if we go into our blue channel, you can see here it's retained that depth information. So that's another step on top of adjusting your overlay level. But what if you want to have more information retained and you want to keep a lot more of the detail? Well, we can go a step further, and this is by actually separating your detail map into positive and negative values, and then you can overlay these in different ways, and that gives you even more control over your normal map. So let's step up to our third procedure up here. So first of all, we need to duplicate our detail map, and let's give them some friendly names. So positive and negative. And again, we're going to use adjustment layers. We're going to use levels first of all, link that with the one below it, and again another levels, and link that to the layer below that. So this is the positive map that we're editing now. Oops, sorry about that. Right, so this is the positive map we're editing now, and what we want to do is clamp off just the positive values. So if we go through, go to our red channel first, set this at 128, and again in our output levels set that to 128. Green, again 128, 128. Again, this is just removing those negative values 0 to 127. Going to our blue channel, and we're just going to change the output levels, and this time to 0 and 0. Now that's removing that blue layer effectively and removing those negative values. So that's that one done, and we're going to merge that. And I'm just going to call it positive, just so we know which one that is. I'll hide that. Now the negative values, we're going to do the opposite. This time we're going to clamp it at 127. So the opposite of what we have done before. So red, green, 127, 127. And this time we're going to leave the blue channel as it is, because we want to keep the blue depth information in there. And again, we are going to merge those layers, sorry. We'll just call that neg. So we have two different maps now, one just holding the positive information and one holding the negative. But if we overlay these now, they're still not going to look right. What we still need to do is strip out the base normal map colour, which if we look at if I just turn these off. So if you look in between any normal map, you get this base colour here, and that is basically it saying this has no normal information, this is just flat. What we need to do is strip that out of these two, so when we overlay it onto our base map, those areas aren't being added to or taken away from. So we're effectively only keeping the details. Now again, we're going to use another adjustment layer this time, and we are going to use a channel mixer. Open that up, again click on this little button here so that it links it and clips it to the layer below. So for the positive, I'm going to go through each channel. So red we're going to leave at plus 100 and we're going to change the constant to minus 50. Green, again, leave it at plus 100, change the constant to minus 50, like so. And blue, we are just going to leave it as it is. Now as you can see, this has gone quite dark, but we're going to apply we're not going to use overlay this time, we're going to apply a different blending mode to get the effect we need. So again, I'm going to merge those layers, and again we'll just rename it to positive so we know what it is. Turn that off, and now we'll follow this procedure again. Create another channel mixer, link it with the layer below, and this time we need to do the opposite of what we did before. So if we go back up to our red channel, this time red is minus 100 with a constant of 50. Green, minus 100 with a constant of 50. And this time the blue, again minus 100 and a constant of 100. Like so. And again, it's gone quite dark, but all we want is those negative values. I'll merge those layers. Just call that negative so we know what they are. And if I turn on the positive, on and off, you can see the negative is pretty much an inverted copy of positive, which is exactly what we want. So now we need to blend those with the base map. And for this we're going to use a linear dodge add in our positive, and for our negative we're going to use difference. And there we have the normal map blended. If we compare that with the overlay we did previously, if I just turn this on and off, as you can see we've got a lot more detail in there this time. You can see it particularly around here as we turn it on and off. And you have to remember that a normal map isn't an image map, it's sort of a technical roadmap for the engine, telling it what normals to use and what not to use. If we go back to our blue channel, in here we've got a lot more depth information. In fact, we've got more than we originally started off with, meaning that honeycomb texture is going to look a lot better. So those are the three basic steps that I found to blending normal maps. And my personal favourite is this one. It gives you a lot more detail. And what you can do is you can take those steps and put them into a Photoshop action, and then it's just a button click and it does it all for you. And what you could also do is maybe group these two, new group from layers, and then you can adjust the opacity of that group, giving you more or less surface detail. So that, again, you're in full control there. So if I save this, like so, we switch back to Maya, wherever it is, and then I reload that texture. As you can see, this has added a lot more surface detail to the car, giving it a much nicer appearance than what we had previously. And that is just by doing a few extra steps just to add in that extra detail. And that's a lot quicker than trying to paint that in ZBrush or Mudbox, bake out more normal maps and things like that. So as I said, these are just techniques that I've found knocking around, and I've asked a few people and they've pointed me in directions of which ones they use, and these were the three main answers that came back. So if you have a better approach, I'd love to hear it, so please let me know. But if not, then I hope you use one of these, and I hope you've learnt a lot from this this Q&A, and I will see you in the next video. So I just wanted to follow up with the previous video, just adding this bit on, and it's quite an important piece actually. After we've applied and blended our normal maps, you may end up with areas like this. And you see this green sort of area here, which just isn't right and won't work properly in the normal maps engine. And that's because we've been playing around with levels, overlaying normal maps and things. The actual normal length stored in this map has changed. So what we need to do is normalize it. Now, to do this, you should go onto the NVIDIA website and download their Photoshop plugins. And there's a neat tool in there. Not only could you generate normal maps from height maps, as I mentioned before, you can also quickly renormalize a normal map. Now what it does, it will install it. As you can see, I've dropped back to CS5 because there isn't a version for CS6 just yet. We go to Filter, NVIDIA Tools, Normal Map Filter. That brings up this window here. You can do all sorts of neat things in this. And all you need to do is just, under Alternative Conversions, click Normalize Only. And all that'll do is it will renormalize your normal map. Click OK. And as you saw there, it popped these back through, and that's because it fixed those errors for us. Now this has fixed any others in the map as well, but this is a very important part when you're editing normal maps. Now the NVIDIA tools are free, and as you saw, it's literally an extra click of a mouse, and that has saved these areas here of the normal map. So again, like I said, that was just a quick extra tip which I think is quite important. So I would suggest to anybody, even if no matter what you're doing to the normal maps, just run this before you save out your final map, and then you're done.